one of the biggest hurdles in clarifying the dream is our own biases that we carry into it.
I spent so many years waiting for someone to show up and tell me I had permission to dream.
Yes is a pathway to a possibility.
Yes.
No is a pathway to limitless possibilities.
They're good lies.
Right.
They're good lies in our head, lies that we could spend our whole lives believing so easily. Man, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And the easiest thing to say yes to is the thing that's right in front of you.
Hey, Jason, welcome to the Don't Let the Dream Die podcast. It's really great to have you. Jason and I have been friends for a long time. We've worked on a lot of different projects together. Jason is a brilliant creative mind, and a lot of the projects that we've worked on in the past, from the Billion campaign to Gather 25 and many other things we have worked on together. And I think in all those cases, we've celebrated together, but maybe there's some stripes that we have to show for it as well, because they've been hard work, that's for sure. But more than anything, Jason is a follower of Jesus, got a great family, but God has gifted him in a tremendous way. And Jason has a dream, and it may not be the dream that everybody would at least necessarily publicly associate you with, because we see Jason do so many things. He shows up in so many places. I mean, I was just in a meeting the other day at a church way north of Atlanta, and I played a video, and the guy sitting there is like, "Is that Jason Dyba's voice?" I said, absolutely. So Jason's been a great friend and partner. And today we want to talk to Jason about his dream, the thing that's burning inside of him. And it'd probably be, truthful to say there's probably many dreams in Jason's world, but there might be kind of a meta dream, and we want to talk about that a little bit. But Jason, welcome to the conversation. And why don't you just catch us up? Tell everybody, if they may not know exactly who you are, a little bit about yourself, a little bit about things that you like to think about and work on.
A little bit about my family. I've got 2 kids, 2 boys, wild children. We live here in Atlanta, over on the east side. We love Atlanta. We love that we've been here for over a decade. We feel like we're at home. I am a professional writer and storyteller, and I work with Future City Now, the company you own, as well as many other organizations, for-profit, nonprofit spaces, which to me really gives me a lot of life, because I like to move around. I like the variety of jumping between different worlds. And I've been doing that for a while. To just kind of jump in the topic right away, the thing you mentioned about how, we have many dreams. Yeah. I have to remind myself some days I'm actually living in a dream I had 10 years ago.
All right.
You have the dream I had at 30 is what I am doing right now. But of course, then once you arrive at the dream, it doesn't really feel like the dream anymore. It just feels like work.
Exactly.
And so new dreams have come in the years, or probably even more encouraging to me and hopefully to others is that some of the dreams that seemed completely out of reach when I was a younger professional now actually don't seem that crazy to me. And that's probably more of the space I'm in now, where it's the things that I would have thought were unattainable or that I was not allowed to even pursue are now things that I have at least given myself the permission to chase after.
I think a lot of times when we talk about, or at least when I think about dream architecture, I usually think about, we need to clarify the dream, but that one of the biggest hurdles in clarifying the dream is our own biases that we carry into it.
Yeah.
And those, self-limiting factors that speak into those biases. What were a couple of those?
Weirdly, first, I just want to agree that the biggest hurdle to any dream is yourself. And there can be other hurdles, like realistic. I mean, money can can be realistic hurdles, and the right connection, the networking. I mean, we could go on. There's so many types of hurdles that can get in the way, but the biggest one will always be yourself. And so, yeah, I've had a lot of self-limiting hurdles all in my head that I've spent years and years. It took me until I was 32 to even say, oh, I'm a writer. And yet I'd been writing for years, probably almost well over a decade at that point, but had never even given myself permission just to say I'm a writer now. And now here I am almost 10 years past that point in my life. And I'm actually now confident not only that I'm a writer, but I actually know how to be a writer. Right. And I can show up into spaces and say that, like, I know what I'm doing. But again, it took me 32 years just to be able to string together the most simple statement of what I was good at in the lane of life that I could operate within. And yeah,
is that because you were just trying to be humble? There was a lack of confidence.
Yeah, I wish it was humility. The most noble version of it would have been humility. I think it was more in the self-doubt. I mean, some of that too is cultural.
Right.
It's like I grew up Midwestern, suburban life where you didn't make proclamations about your future of like, this is what I'm going to accomplish. Like, that was seen as vain.
You just go to work.
Yeah, you go to work. You get a decent paying job, and you slave away for the rest of your life, and that's the right way to live in this world. Right. And I'm not saying that as an insult to anyone who just does their job and does actually, that is kind of what I'm doing, just in a different lane that previously I thought was just a lane that I wasn't allowed to be in. And I don't know why I had such difficulty with that, other than I think your community, the people that you're proximate to in your life, of course, influence that in a major way. And so I didn't grow up around artists. I never knew a writer growing up. Like, I didn't know anyone who really had made a profession out of creating things. I knew music teachers, people who were using it in the service of teaching or things like that. And again, blessings on all of those people in all of those spaces, but I had never known someone. So I didn't have like an example. I didn't have someone in my life who was really telling me I could chase some of those dreams, or that they were even within reach. The idea for me of like one day writing a movie that might play on national and international screens just seemed like the most far-fetched possibility in the world. I'll say, for me, one of the most important voices in my life that helped me get past a lot of this was Pastor Louis Giglio. I remember when I came to work at Passion right before I turned 30 years old, like the week before I turned 30, we moved to Atlanta, and I start coming to these meetings with my new boss, with Louis. And the things he would say in these meetings about what he thought we could do, I was just like, who is this guy? Who gave him the permission to just pull the most outlandish things out of thin air and say, we can do that? And being at a table of people like that will change your mind in the best of ways. It makes you realize, for some reason, this is one of the things I wish I could go back and tell my younger self. I spent so many years waiting for someone to show up and tell me I had permission to dream, to do some of these like outlandish, far-reaching possibilities. I spent all those years thinking, if I keep practicing, if I keep being a good steward of what I have, then at some point someone will show up and they will have the silver platter that with the words, "You have permission now" on it. And when I got to that table, I realized that platter's not coming. Right. You have to decide for yourself. You have permission. Like, you can try it. You don't have a guarantee, but you do have permission, at least to chase the dream and to get out there.
Was there like a catalytic moment or a moment where you just realize, you know what, I could do this, or I could think differently?
I don't think there was a singular moment. I do think, one of the good things over the years, you and I were talking about this previously, of like, it's nice to go back and wish you could tell your younger self, do this, not that.
Right. Absolutely.
But then there's also this reality that like the only way you could arrive where you're actually at is if you'd gone through the long journey that you ended up taking. And for me, there was no like singular catalytic moment. There were some people like Pastor Louis, who I just mentioned, who were a big influence in that direction. But I think towards my end of my 20s and in my early 30s, some of the things I was making were starting to get played in arenas of 20,000, 50,000, right. Madison Square Garden, some of the major outlets of showing content in our country. On YouTube, suddenly a video I've made has surpassed 1 million views, and you're getting into like spaces that made me realize, oh, actually, maybe the stuff I make is worthy of being seen by a lot of people. And I don't think it was any one of those, but after that happened 5 times, 10 times, 20 times over, then it definitely helped me build up a little bit of confidence to be like, okay, maybe you should start being a little riskier with the things you pray.
So you alluded to this just a second ago, and I want to go back and just make sure we're clear. Along the way, there's a dream that has emerged of doing a screenplay.
Yeah.
And, up until a few years ago, you had full-time W-2 jobs.
Yes.
At different amazing organizations.
Yeah, great companies.
But somewhere in there, like, you had to start making a decision about the bigger dream that you were pursuing and the path that was going to ultimately get you there. So first of all, just so everybody knows, like, talk about what the ultimate dream is related to that. And then we'll back up and talk a little bit about, the steps you're taking and the pathway that you're taking to get there, and how that pathway may be different at your age now versus if you had started when you were 18 or 21.
I wish I'd started sooner. Yeah. So to clarify the dream for me, Jason Dyba, a little bit over 40. I'm, again, professional writer, professional storyteller right now. But the thing I've not gotten to yet is I want to write a screenplay, or it could be a novel, but to something that has a long-lasting, wide spectrum reaching audience, some kind of story of that nature. So much of what I make right now has a very, very short shelf life. It plays one time and then it's gone forever. Yeah. Maybe it goes to live online and a few people watch it, but for the most part, I live in a one and done economy with most of my work, and that's okay. And those are fun. And I've made a career out of doing that kind of thing. But for years, I've been thinking, at what point am I going to write the thing that people are going to want to come back and watch, 5 times over the course of 20 years or something like that, who are going to remember, going to tell their friends, oh, you got to go to the theater, you got to go see this, or you got to go make sure to go pick up this book. And that is the dream for me. What tell me again, what should we talk about?
Well, then what I want to talk, so the dream is a screenplay or a novel, something that it has a lasting impact.
Yes.
You've left a W-2 job, and now there's a pathway to get there. You haven't just set everything aside. You've kind of alluded to this. You make shorter stories that one and done, but just kind of talk about how you see that path toward the dream playing out.
Yeah. Again, one of the things I wish I had been able to tell a younger version of myself was this idea of like, man, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And the easiest thing to say yes to is the thing that's right in front of you, which is, it's like the job that gets offered to you first is the one that's the easiest to take.
Right.
it's so much harder. Or if you're working at an organization like I was, I'm already in a place that I love with people I know, with work that's being approved and applauded. Why would I ever leave that?
Right.
It's the easiest yes for me to say, I just want to stay here. And it was a terrible process in my head to have to say, you know what? I'm going to say no to everything that is familiar and consistent and stable in my life right now to go chase this other thing that I don't even really know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've never written something long form like this. I am technically going to be a beginner in that space.
Yeah.
And here I am, almost an expert in the space I'm already in. And that's a terrible mental hurdle to get over. And so it took me multiple years. I mean, it took me so much therapy. It took my friends begging me to believe in myself.
Wow.
To tell me you haven't done it, but it's because you haven't tried to do it yet.
How many years?
I mean, I left my first W-2 job, I think, when I was 36.
Okay.
And again, that was the biggest leap there. And I was still too scared to just go off on my own and dive in fully. So I took another W-2 job at a creative agency as kind of a stepping stone. I knew I wasn't going to be there long, and I actually didn't stay there even for a full year, but it helped me with the transition process, just to get out of one place where I'd been for a while, and then to go into another space to start to understand how the marketplace works, to figure out, really, even at that point, at 36, 37, I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this economy work? Mm-hmm. I had one child at the time. The second one was coming soon after. And I knew I couldn't just drop everything.
Right.
I couldn't have no income for a year while I tried to figure out how to write a screenplay.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out, how do I switch into the freelance writer space where I can sustain an income, but also have a higher flexibility of scheduling. And this is the biggest thing, the ability to say no to more things. Because when you're on salary, it's really hard to say no to things. Setting up boundaries is tough.
Yeah.
So anyone who's trying to live the dream and also do a salary job, especially if you're management or a director level of some kind, it's man, that's tough.
Yeah.
And so I'm not telling anyone to go quit their jobs, but I'm just saying it's a tough thing to balance. And so even when I was switching into the freelance space to try to figure out this juggling act, it took probably two and a half years just to figure out that process. How was I going to balance all this? And then even when I quit the creative agency job and went full-time freelance, I was terrified. I just thought no one's going to hire me. And boy, was I wrong. It turned out to be the complete opposite. I had so much work coming in. And part of that's because I went freelance when I was 37. I wasn't the 22-year-old who was just figuring out. I had a network at that point. I had built good relationships with people for well over a decade. So I had people who wanted to work with me. And so I was so fortunate. God was so kind to me in that season to let me have success in the early years of being a freelance writer. But I still did not work on the screenplay. It took another 2 years after that.
Yeah.
And it took my wife really pleading with me to you can't just dream for something and not make the time for it.
Right.
And the time is the highest currency of your dream. And I remember this. I was turning 39, and I was taking my son to school every morning because he was having a lot of trouble going to school. And he and I are very close to each other. And so I just thought it's my duty as a dad that I'm a freelancer now. I have the flexibility. I can take him. I should take him. And so I was taking him every morning. But I also knew in the back of my head that my best writing time is the morning. And so I had made this justification in my head that I'm sacrificing my best writing time in order to dedicate these moments to taking my kid to school. That felt like a noble,
Yeah.
wonderful, like a father of high integrity decision. And my wife and my counselor and my friends, multiple people, all close to me, just said, your son would be okay if your wife just took him to school. Like, he might cry for a couple of days, but then he'd get used to it. And then he'd just forget about you. He wouldn't even remember.
Yeah.
And so now, for the last about year and a half or so, I wake up in the morning, I say goodbye to my kids early, and I go spend the first 2 hours of every day just on my own writing.
Yeah.
I don't open emails. I am not on someone else's clock.
Right.
Until a certain time in the morning. I'm on my own clock. And that is the most significant change I've made towards chasing the dream, to not let the dream die. And again, I credit my wife probably more than anyone in being the person who helped me get over that. I mean, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
It's not just this abstract thing over here. It's like me spending time with my kid is extremely personal and valuable to me. But again, I'm the one who had made up this scenario in my head that I was the only one who could take my kid to school.
Yeah,
right.
And it kind of goes back to the self-limiting biases that we put in place. Yeah.
They're good lies.
Right.
They're good lies in our head, lies that we could spend our whole lives believing so easily. And the thing is, if I did spend all that time with my son, it would be valuable. But the thing is, one of the things my counselor told me that I thought was so valuable is like, but think about this, like, if you don't chase your dream and you're miserable for years, have you really given your son the gift you thought you were giving him?
Yep. I think about that all the time. I mean, slightly different, but it was always beat into me. You've got to be at every kid's sporting event, this and that and the other. And I just think about my grandfather, who in the 1950s had to leave his family for a full year to go work up north because that was the only way to provide for his family. And like, I think about my dad today, his memories of his dad are great.
Yeah.
He sees his dad had to go sacrifice for the family. And, I'm sure he missed a lot of ball games or whatever's, because of that.
Yeah, it's the whole thing again of like, you got to really figure out what the best yes is.
Right.
Because the easy yes is the one that's right in front of you. And there can be so many ways you can justify it. And it really does take a moment of like hard mental work to back yourself out and be like, okay, but what would be the best yes for a decade?
Right.
Or what would be the best yes for a lifetime? And it might be that some of the things right in front of me that are valuable for right now or just for the next month or so are worth actually saying no to if they're going to help me get towards that bigger yes.
One of the things that I think about a lot, and I'd love to get your perspective on this, is because I agree with you. I think the way I think about yes and no is in our culture, we value the yes.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants the yes because that feels like success. Like I've got the thing that I want. But when I sit back and think about it, like yes is a pathway to a possibility.
Yes.
No is a pathway to limitless possibilities. Because now, like whatever the thing you were asking for the yes for, like that's not a possibility anymore. And sometimes it's the easy yes. Like, but if you say no to that, now all of a sudden the pathways are open to think differently. And if for no other, you may come back to the same thing again, but at least you've been forced to, not just take the easy route.
Yeah. I think too, I have two things about my personality that I think have hurt myself in the pursuit of the dream is one that I'm curious to a fault. Mm-hmm. It's that, especially in the artistic and the creative space, there's too many things I want to do. And so I can be chasing rabbits very easily. And I feel like I spent most of my 20s doing that. Like, again, I couldn't say that I was even a writer until I was 32 because I was too interested in all the other things that I could be.
Yeah, right.
And there's a good part of that. Like I definitely wouldn't want someone to hear this and be like, well, I shouldn't be curious. But I just think there's a point where the curiosity passes helpfulness and goes into wandering. And I think that was one part. And then two, more specific to what you're just saying, I think sometimes my insecurity can turn into impulsiveness. And again, someone comes along and says, hey, can you help me with this project? The yes will just fly out of my mouth.
Right.
You know, it just flies out like before I can even grab it. And I have to tell myself, slow down for a second. Like, just because you have that 4-hour block open on your calendar tomorrow doesn't mean you just throw it away to the first bidder. Right. And I think it requires a huge amount of self-control and restraint to, again, not let the immediate and the urgent just hijack everything for the long-term goals that you have.
So how's the dream coming? You're blocking out a couple hours in the morning.
Yep. I was there this morning.
Okay. All right.
I was there this morning. I was there yesterday morning. There are definitely weeks that things get complicated, things with family, things with work that push me out. But those aside, those are not the majority. The rule is I show up even if I don't want to, even if I'm not inspired.
That's great.
And I get my butt in seat and I open up my computer. Again, no email, definitely no social media, no wandering the internet. And I get to work. And this morning I wrote 300 words, which in every other line of work or every other area of work that I do is pitiful. But for me, I'm like, but it's 300 more words than I had when I showed up this morning. And so I'm just going to count everything as a win. I do have some metrics I'm trying to hit. I do think the other thing about yes that I'll just want to say is that a real yes is one that's on the schedule. It's one that's on the calendar.
Right. That's right.
It's one that has a metric attached to it. It's one that you can say, again, it had 0, but now it's 300, or it had 0, but now it's whatever. It's something that has a actual tangible movement that's required for it to happen through. You could, for me, I just spent years, the yes was in my head. I want to do this. I have the dream to do this, but had not said no to anything else. And even when I did end up saying no to other things and shutting things down, I still went for a couple years of just kind of this loosey-goosey, I just hope things happen. And it just, nothing works like that, especially when you get older and you have so many things you're responsible for. It's it's just going to get lost in the noise.
Jason, as we kind of bring this to a close, not everybody their dream is to write a screenplay.
Yeah.
And there might be many who are thinking, my dream seems relatively insignificant when you compare it to writing a screenplay.
Yeah.
What would your encouragement be to those people?
I think there's two things. One, if the reason your dream doesn't feel audacious is because you've already written it off. I'll meet with younger artists and they'll be like, hey, I want to get this job at this local agency. I'll sometimes ask them the question, what's the agency that you would kill to work for? And inevitably they'll be like, man, I really wish I could go work for Pixar. I just say, then why don't you aim for that? What told you that you weren't allowed to do that? And so that would be kind of my first encouragement is if you've actually written off the bigger dream or you've already put it off to the side like I did for so many years, maybe it's a moment now to actually pull that back out and consider maybe you really could do it. Now, maybe that actually isn't your dream. You don't want to go work at Pixar or do some crazy thing. And you just want to do a dream that's in your space, in your locality, whatever in your individual area of focus. I mean, it's everything that we just talked about. Just don't wait for someone else's permission to come along. If the resources aren't there, the resources can be found. And just make sure that if you're going to say yes to the dream, just make sure that you put some ink to it.
Yeah.
Actually write something down, get one of those cool journals, from Michael Hyatt or something like that. Like, go through a little step, get a friend who has actually chased their dream and make sure to say these things out loud to them the way that we're doing right now.
Yeah. Jason, thanks so much for sharing kind of where you're at in the process. And I just love it because it'd be easy to come in and talk about something that's already been realized and we've already celebrated. And so like success is guaranteed, you know, but this is, you know, you're at best in the middle of this thing, and it's going to be great to track your progress. Now there's some more public accountability toward that screenplay because we're going to be looking forward to it.
Yes.
You know, one of my favorite biographers is Robert Caro, and Robert, he's got the 5th installment of his biography on Lyndon Johnson, and he's been working on it for like 10 years, and he's like 82. You know, Robert's in his 80s, and we're like, come on, man, you got to get that done.
Oh my gosh.
So now that it's out there, you know, then we're going to be looking forward to that. But we're going to be looking forward to, you know, just the journey as well, because I think that ultimately is the biggest part of not letting the dream die. And you said it earlier, is just you got to show up and get in the seat. I think this idea that, you know, success only comes to the select few is a huge misnomer.
No, totally.
Success comes to those who show up and you know, just put themselves in the seat and get to work and get the 300 words done, or the 3,000 words done, or the 1,500 words done, or whatever it is for that day. So thanks for sharing, being vulnerable, giving us a little bit of an insight into, you know, the process that you're going through. And I know that that's an encouragement to everybody. So thanks a lot for being a part of the conversation.
Thanks for having me.